It was always going to be a tough game for us. And I was a little bit worried about the game. But when City hand you, how many more plates are they going to give us to hand us this title before we take one of them? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting messages last night from some of the guys I know who work at Forest, and they're going, conceded 3 against Wrexham last week, and big Arsenal roll into town, and you don't look like scoring. What's going on? I said, I think we're at the point now where we got to start talking about players, and because I honestly think some of these players are getting an easy ride at this club, overpaid and underperforming, consistently not turning up when we need them. You know, you look at our front line yesterday. I looked here and I thought, you could change that whole front line next season, the way these guys are playing. Saka's the only one really that you look at and go, long term, he's going to be at the club. He's a star. He's on a massive contract. Trossard and Martinelli on that left. We need an upgrade next season. We need a starter. Gyökeres, Jesus, Havertz. The way it's going at the moment, you're going to need another striker next summer. Let's just be honest. Right? You're going to need to go and buy another striker. You look at that Odegaard role. I mean, Eze barely gets a kick. Odegaard doesn't turn up again. I mean, I know people say I'm very harsh on Odegaard on this show, but when I watch a game and I see the captain of our club ducking out of challengers, rolling around the floor, it just drives me insane. And then you're telling me Ethan Nwaneri is not good enough to be in the squad. You're telling me that Odegaard and Eze and these guys are performing at such a level, he can't even get on the bench. I think there's an argument to say he could be starting at the moment, never mind making the bench. And some of these players are just not performing. We'll go through them individually later on, and I just think this team, there's a mentality issue. Arteta's part of that as well, by the way. I don't really blame him totally for yesterday, because as a team, watching that Man City defeat, I don't know, you shouldn't even need a team talk. Arteta should have gone in there and just at the screen and said, if that result doesn't motivate you, you're never going to win anything. Do you know what I mean? He shouldn't have needed to say anything. But what bothers me is this is the second time City have dropped points and then we've drawn. We drew 0-0 with Liverpool, never looked like scoring. Liverpool draw at home with Burnley yesterday. Yet we played them twice, didn't score. You know, after cheering shamelessly Man United on yesterday to beat Man City, now we've got to play them next week. And it now looks like a dangerous game. And Lee looks like he's got his Inter Milan hat on already. You know what I mean? He's prepared for Italy midweek.
Can I just come here? Just the one thing I've got to say about this, and I totally agree with everything you said there, Curtis. I do not put this one on Arteta. I put it on Arteta at Liverpool, right? And I go back to that Liverpool game. We never went for it. And that's down to the manager, right? When you look at Liverpool, again, as you say, against Burnley, but yesterday, for me, I'm giving Arteta a massive pass on this one. I don't think tactics-wise, you can look at him yesterday. I'm looking at the 11 players, and exactly what you said there is right. He just walks in the dressing room, to me, he goes, you know how to set up, lads. Go and win the title today, like, you know what I mean? And not one of those players steps up to the plate and are going from 1 to 11. Declan Rice was nowhere near at the level he was normally at. Zubimendi, Martin Odegaard, right? I'm telling you this now. You go on about, I'm going to go on it and I'll keep going on about it. Yes, Miles Lewis-Skelly's had a couple of bad games. Yes, he's been dropped. But how comes there's players in this team, i.e. Martinelli, gets hooked off at half-time, right? And then other players continue to play. I want to see now, I'm not blaming Arteta for this, but come next week against Man United, I want to see him as ruthless as he is on these youngsters as he is on some of our senior players, because the performances of some of them yesterday was not acceptable. Martin Odegaard now has put in 2 woeful performances against Liverpool and yesterday when we needed him. When we need your captain, you need a player to step up and perform and lead this team. He has not done it. And whether it's Eze or Nwaneri, someone's got to come in there.
I'd like to agree with what Curtis said, really, that I think yesterday was like a culmination of like stuff that has been slowly creeping up on us in terms of what our Premier League top goal scorer still has 5 goals. It's still Gyökeres, and 2 of them were penalties. So you look at the other teams. Man City have now got what, the first and like fourth top goal scorer in their team, as well as like Shirky and Foden, etc., that can pop up with goals. And I know we go on about our defence and how good we are defensively, but I even thought yesterday, I thought Ben White, I thought he played well, but I thought it's hard. It's exactly what you're saying. Like, I couldn't even blame the manager. I think yesterday Ben White played all right, but he was just getting skinned a few times, and I don't think it's just he wasn't good enough. Like, he just hasn't got that pace to keep up with him sometimes. And Timber at left back, I don't know. I mean, I think he's one of the best right backs in the world, and I know he started off playing left back for us, but I just don't know how Skelly didn't come on it. I thought he was poor at left back. I thought his whole passing angles were off. I know he kept coming into the middle and trying to dictate stuff, but I just don't think that left back role was for him, which didn't help from building from the back. Zubimendi, I thought was poor in terms of like sloppy. Everything you did associate with Zubimendi, he was not doing. And then Ødegaard, I think is the main one for me in terms of I've actually backed Ødegaard. I don't think you see much from me in the show where I've sort of spoke against Ødegaard, and I just think yesterday the main point is that like you guys said, it did not need a team talk to get something out of our players, and that's maybe where you do look at something like the captain's armband and ask for a little bit more, and he's not showing it. And I know Arteta's been very vocal on the fact that the players chose the captain, and the players are all very, very in unison that Ødegaard is their captain and stuff. Well, that's great, but he needs to show it to us because we didn't choose him as the captain. The players are telling us, yes, this is the guy that needs to be the captain and lead us. Well, he's not showing us it.
I was like proper depressed coming out of that game yesterday because like all you guys, went into that with such a high. Like I saw the way City got absolutely taken apart yesterday, destroyed. Now, that game when they played, they should have lost that by about 4 or 5. And I'm thinking, if we get 9 points clear, like what you said, Jack, if we get 9 points clear, I'm starting to think that from what I'm seeing of City over the last few games, they ain't catching us. They're not. I don't personally think this City team are going to go on a long run like what they've done in previous seasons. I just don't see it. That was 2 years ago that they did that. They weren't great last year. And I just look at them this year, and even though they've brought in players and they're bringing in players, I still don't feel, right? So I felt 9 points yesterday. I'm not saying it's unassailable, but I would have said it would have put a significant advantage to us. And I agree with everything you guys said. The performance by everybody on that pitch. I think you're right, Lee. You can take the defenders, apart from Timber. Yeah, he wasn't up to his normal standards. But everybody else on that pitch, it was simply not good enough. And I think the problem is this, right? You said it earlier, Curtis, that when Forest played Wrexham put 3 past them. When they played West Ham went. But the problem is, right, when those teams play against Wrexham's, West Ham's, anybody else, yeah, they don't play like how they play against us. We are playing, right, 19 low block FC teams, probably apart from teams like Chelsea, who will maybe come and play. And any team that comes to play against us, we know that we're going to be all right. We'll score goals, we'll look good. But the problem is, most teams are not going to come and play like that. We know it's Sean Dyche. We know what he's going to do. We know it's going to be low block. Liverpool played a low block. We've just played 2 teams who've not had a shot on target. Both Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. We are playing teams that are coming to survive. Even Manchester City came to the Emirates and low blocked it. So I'm looking at it and thinking, I didn't necessarily agree with what Lee said on the last game, because I kind of put that on the players, the Liverpool one. The one yesterday, despite the fact that we did miss chances, I did feel in this one, I'm more in agreement with what Lee said in previous shows, that the manager could be a little bit more braver. Do you need Declan Rice and Zubimendi when you're playing such a low block defensive team, right? I thought he should have got, even if you're going to change, get Eze on at half time. I just felt like, we need to be a bit more attacking.
Listen, this thing with low blocks, I'm sorry, but do we think that teams weren't low blocking against Klopp's Liverpool or Pep's Man City over the years? That's the reason our front three are on 200-300 grand a week, and theirs are probably on 100 grand a week. You buy better players that can deal with a low block. Now we're one of the top teams in the country. 75-80% of teams are going to low block Arsenal because they respect us now. They know we're a dangerous team. We have to find a way to get through a low block. I can't remember us having a shot from outside the penalty area yesterday. Why don't we shoot from distance?
But then sorry to interject with you, Curtis. That's what I'm saying. Like an Eze, who will shoot from outside the box or will be that guy. I just felt like you don't really need. Do you need both? I would maybe you sacrifice a Zubamendi in a game like this because they're not coming to attack.
Forest are the second lowest scorers in the Premier League, right? Their confidence is shot. They never looked like scoring yesterday.
Never.
And like you said, again, he made changes. So I'll give him his due. He made changes, but the tactic was the same. Gyökeres looked isolated. Jesus came on and looked isolated. They got two big centre-backs,
like for like.
and Murillo. Like for like, as we say. So I'm sitting there going, why don't you throw Havertz on and put crosses in? He's 6 foot plus. He might score you a header. Why don't you put Eze in there and play with two attacking midfielders? And like you said, you could take Zubamendi off and put Rice in the 6 by himself. This like for like tactic, you're just going round in circles. Even when we made the changes yesterday, nothing changed in the game. We weren't dominating. The keeper wasn't making save after save. It was the same thing. So I just feel with Arteta, he sort of plays too safe. And just quickly, the thing that, you did the watch along as well yesterday, Rob. Look at that Bruno Fernandes performance for Man United yesterday. Maverick performance. I'm sitting there watching Arsenal yesterday going, which one of these players wants to be the hero?
We have to find a way. There has to be a strategy that makes us a lot more attacking in these games when we face these type of teams that are going to come and really they're like very, very happy with a point. And like you said, we're top of the league. It's out of respect for us. This is what we're going to face. City have faced it over the years, like you said, so have Liverpool, because teams know if you come stepping on them, you're going to get absolutely battered. So we need to find a way. I just feel that it's the same formula that we just keep using, and we got to find a way. I don't think we get the attacking players even involved enough at the moment.
I didn't think the first half was that bad, to be fair. If you break it down, Martinelli should score. There was the cross from Ben White when no one's in there. The Zubamendi went through. It was a lovely throw. The pass wasn't quite accurate enough, and so you think, right, okay. If I'm going to blame Arteta, there's two things I'm going to blame Arteta for. Completely got it wrong against Chelsea by playing the strongest team in the cup competition. In 2 days later, going to Forest, said that Madueke should have played against Chelsea, right? At the end of the day, Saka should never have played against Chelsea, and a couple of other players shouldn't have. He should have played Martinelli against Chelsea as well. And I think that at the end of the day, when you come to these games here against a team like that, you've got to have fresh players. That's one thing that I blame for, fresh players. And I think that at the end of the day,
Eze was fresh.
Yeah, so that's where I'm saying that maybe Eze should have played against Chelsea.